guys, welcome back to the studio. I just thought I would pop in because I got some new products and I haven't played with them yet, so I thought I'd bring you along. So Amsterdam acrylic inks are one of my favorite inks to work with, and I noticed the last time I placed an order that there were some pearlized colors, so I decided to just grab 3 colors that I thought I would use a lot. So I got pearl blue, pearl violet, and pearl green. Now I will say, when I look at the bottom of them, they are not super impressive. Not like I needed a refill of my reflex orange. I mean, that's, you know what color that's going to be. But these with the pearlescent, I think will look really great over black, obviously, or over a dark color. So I wanted to do a little playing with them today. So I did pull out a little gel plate, so I might use that. But I also grabbed just some black and white paper so that I could go ahead and just see. I think I'm going to start. You know, I have this idea in my head that I want to add some black stenciling over this and then use the ink. So I am going to do that first because it can be drying while we're swatching out the colors. So I'm just going to dig through my drawer. I think I want to use black gesso, which of course I can't find quickly. Oh, here it is. So I think I'm going to use some black gesso, and then I may also put some white stenciling over top of the black and just see what we get. So I think, again, for once I have an idea in my head and I knew exactly which stencil I wanted to use. This is one of my favorite stencils from, I am like 99% certain this is from Stencil Girl. Yep, Stencil Girl products. It is number L266 by Carolyn Doobie. It's just one of my favorites. I love anything that resembles writing, even if it's more of like a asemic writing where you can't really read it. So that's one of my favorite things. So I'm going to go ahead and add some black gesso, which apparently I will also need to reorder some of this because I am getting down to the bottom. Oh darn, what a shame. I have to order art supplies. What a surprise. So just some quick stenciling here. Doesn't need to be perfect. I just want to get some mix of dark and light on this page so that when I add those pearlized colors, I get hopefully some interesting surprises. We'll see what really happens. The reason I wanted to try these pearlescent colors, other than the fact that I really haven't met an art supply that I don't like, is sometimes I get to the point where I've created my background or I'm working through something and it just starts getting too dark. And I want to add something, but I don't necessarily just want to add white or cream. I thought these pearlescent colors would be a cool way of adding something to a dark background. Especially, so one of the colors I like to use a lot instead of black is this dark Prussian blue that's also by Amsterdam. It's in their acrylic paint line. And I love it because it is the perfect, to me, for me, it is the perfect dark blue green. So it has just enough green in it. A lot of the Prussian blues that I find in other lines, to me, they are, vast majority, they are blue. So when I found this one and it had that little bit of a green tint to it, it just made me really happy. Now I should probably wait for this stencil. You know what? I am just going to use a different stencil because I don't want to create gray because that black paint won't have enough time to dry. So let's just grab a different stencil. Still want something that's pretty open. I'll just do these circles. I don't need to think about this. This is not my project that is going to end up in a museum for the rest of my life. I am just playing in the studio, so I don't need to spend my time thinking about one stencil. So I am just going to use my white gesso to go over this stencil. The one thing I really love about this, by the way, this is golden black gesso. The one thing I love is that it is kind of the perfect consistency. I should have gotten a bigger tool, of course. We are going to go for a very abstracted stencil here because I wasn't thinking. It's fine, it's fine, it's all fine. That's what I tell myself many days when I'm in the studio. Oh, now I'm kind of liking that look. Look at those little kind of squares looking. See? You never know the things that you thought you messed up, and then look, I end up finding out that I like it this way. So what I wanted to tell you about the black gesso is that the reason I like that specific golden one is that for me it is like the perfect consistency. It stencils really great. It has a matte texture because it's a gesso, and that's what gessos are meant to do. But it doesn't look chalky. So even if I use it as my black paint, it still doesn't look chalky to me. Whereas a lot of other black gessos I've tried, they do tend to have kind of a chalky look after they're done. So that is the reason I like that one. So I have some stenciling done. I'm just going to throw these to the side so they can dry. And now I want to play. So I was thinking of just doing a little bit of a swatch card with each one so that I can kind of see what they look like. Of course, I would like to be able to remember which is which. I mean, I think it'll be obvious, but I am just going to give myself a little bit of labeling so that I can kind of just look at them and know. So I have pearl violet, pearl blue, and pearl green. And what I'll do probably with this swatch sheet is I have kind of like a, it's not officially a sketchbook. It's where I keep a lot of my swatches, my pen tests, all that kind of stuff. So I will probably keep this in there because it'll be an easy place to reference. So I want to start out with just a little pool. And I think I'm just going to use, this is a silicone brush from Art Basics. I think I'm going to, I'll probably have to, oh my gosh, look at that. How does that happen? How does that happen so quickly? Look at that. It probably doesn't read as great on camera. But I'm just going to spread this out, give myself a little square. And then I want to pick up a little bit. I'm going to try it over here. It is, you know what, I need to just let it dry. I'm wondering if, because those lines are bothering me, I wonder if when it dries, those lines kind of go away. So then I want to wet this edge and just grab a brush. Now I'm going to make sure I'm using one of the brushes that I would normally use for acrylics, because acrylic inks will kind of trick you into making you think that they are watercolor, but they are not. So if they get in your brush, you need to clean your brushes just like you were using acrylic paint. So I think I can already see a difference in there. So this I need to just label so I remember that this was with water. So that was our pearl violet. I'm going to do pearl blue the same way. I'll start out with a little less to begin with because I realized that first swatch got really large. That's just, it looks so white and milky when you put it on, and then it just like appears. It reminds me of, I think when I was in like high school is when they first came out with the kind of like the gel pens, and they were these metallic colors, and then you could buy a black notebook, and so you could obviously write on the black notebook paper with your metallic gel, and that's what this kind of reminds me of, which means I like it. Okay, I like that mixing technique better. So less ink to begin with, so I don't have those streaky lines, and then just the drops and the water helps me get it out smoother. Green is lovely. The green might actually be my favorite. And I'm not using a super wet brush for this. I kind of get it wet and then dab it off on my apron. That's really pretty. Now I think I want to grab a smaller brush. This one will do. And I'll go back to the violet. I want to try a little bit of mark making and just see what comes out of that. I'm getting my brush wet just to loosen it up, but again, I don't want it to be too wet for mark making. So with that pearl violet, that is nice. Whenever I get a new product and I'm not really sure how to use it, this is one of the ways I like to kind of play. I will tell you, when I put them out on my palette, it's kind of hard. Like if I had a pink and a violet, I don't know if I'd be able to tell them apart on my... The violet and the blue, I can see a little bit of sheen on them, but if they were colors that were closer together, I don't know if I would be able to tell them apart once I put them on the palette. I really like this for mark making. It's almost like a little magic trick. Oh, well, it's even better when you throw your brush down. That blue is much more subtle. I like it. I think it would be great so it wouldn't scream at you. No, that little splotch is going to be there forever. And now a little bit of mark making with the green, just to see if we like that. I'm sure we will. And depending on what kind of brush I had, I could change up what marks I'm making. Oh, I just dipped into the blue. Hey, look at that. That's what it looks like if you mix the colors together. If you ever wonder if my videos are edited and I do retakes, I think you figured out your answer. It is no, because I throw my brush down, I use the wrong color. This is what my studio always looks like. So, I really like those. I actually like them more than I thought. I just kind of thought, oh, this would be a fun toy. Look at that sheen that they have. Now, I don't know how much of them I would want to use like in a painting. Just because I don't know how they would read depending on, you know, when you're looking straight on at the painting versus when you're looking from the side. So I would have to play around with that. But so that is a good swatch sheet for us. So these are dry. Let's go ahead and try. I have some more of that violet that's left on here, so I'm just going to use my silicone tool. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that. Again, I don't know if it's reading on the... I feel like the violet doesn't read as much on the camera. At least on the little screen I'm looking at, but it's like so cool. If I get it to move at all. No, it does dry pretty quick, especially on this kind of paper. If I was doing something over a gessoed surface, I might have better luck getting it to move around. But this is just your normal cardstock. And then I have the blue. Yes, that's very cool too. A little bit more here. And then go ahead and drop some green on. Try to drop it. This dropper does not want to work as well as the others. That's fine. That is really cool. I have all 3 colors on there now. That is a cool look. Let's try it. The black stencil over white. I'm gonna try just the blue one. And let's see if I put a line of ink. And then I'll just grab one of my little used gift cards and pull that down. It does kind of feel like a magic trick. It actually covers so much of the black. And I like that with the card because it did leave a little bit of the black. That's really cool too. And then there's a little pearlescence on the white, but you really can't see it. So that is really cool. So I said I wanted to use the gel plate. So let's see what we can do with the gel plate. I feel like I need more black paper. A couple sheets of that. I'm just going to pull out my gel plate real quick. Trying to make it not too noisy. Let's see what's the... This is the cleanish side. So I got some stuff on it. It's got fabric on it apparently. So let's go ahead and see. Go ahead and that is a lot of ink. That is too much ink. You should not use that much ink. I know what's going to happen. So I'm going to have my cleanup sheet handy. I can already tell that I'm going to have to get rid of a little bit of this. So always use less than you think you need because you can come back. Oh, look at that with a brayer. I like it just with the brayer too. And remember, it is acrylic ink, so it'll dry fairly quickly. So you don't want to futz around with it too much. Oh, and look at that. I mean, that would make a great background. I want to layer a couple colors on top. So I will learn from my past mistake and use a little less this time. And you could even play around, sorry for my squeaky brayer. Every time I use this little brayer, I think, oh, I should go get some WD-40 and just leave it in here so I can oil my brayer. But no, I forget. All right, so that blue pulled up a little bit of the violet that was still left on the plate, so that is really cool. And now, do the same. You know what it is? The green one, the dropper is deformed. So I've had good luck with Amsterdam customer service. So I actually might just email them and let them. Sometimes they'll just send you a new top or cap or anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Always reach out to your companies if you're not completely happy with a product or something's gone wrong, because most of them are very willing to work with you and make you happy. So I'm just going to place that green square in the middle just to have a little bit of layering over the other colors and a little bit in the middle. There, that angle, you can kind of see the 3 separate blocks, but they're all really pretty. Now the last thing I want to try is, I think, a little bit of, you know what, no, I was gonna say white. I'm gonna use Prussian blue. This is not my favorite Prussian blue. Remember, I said my favorite is by Amsterdam. This was a Liquitex one that I have. So I'm gonna add a little bit of that, and let's just keep it same family. And I'm gonna add a little bit of the blue pearlized ink, and just kind of mix them up on my plate first before I start spreading them around. Again, I probably used too much of both, but that's fine. Clean off my brayer tiny bits. And then let me just pull this on a white sheet to begin with. And it looks like Prussian blue. All right. Let's try. I still have some paint left on there. So let's just try adding a little bit of the pearl green over the top and see what I end up pulling from there. Maybe I should pull it on. This is a. I was gonna pull it on white, but let's see what we get. It's just paper. They'll always make more. We'll be fine. Okay, so that one pulled up that violet that I was using, the blue, the green. It brought some texture. Like, I would cut that out and use it as a background somewhere, because I could never create like this little bit right here, that little grungy bit. I could never make that on my own. I would just sit there and stare at it and think, how do people do that? So of course, we're gonna try again. So this time I'm gonna add a little bit of the violet, a little bit, 2 drops, just 2 drops. And I'm just gonna add it, not all over the plate, just little bits and pieces. And this time I am going to let it dry. And in the meantime, I'm gonna decide what color I want to put. I just happen to have this one sitting here. This is ultramarine violet. It is a color I don't normally use. So I'm gonna add a tiny bit of that to my plate. Again, I may not cover everything. Just put some down. Oh, looks like I'm gonna be covering everything. That's fine, it's fine. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of this Prussian blue over the top. Tiny bit, tiny bit, tiny bit. And to the Prussian blue, I'm gonna add some of the pearlized blue. And of course, because I worked so hard at putting together this combination, it probably won't look as good as the first one. Whenever I do things and I'm not planning on them, that's when I get the best results. And I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna clean off my plate for once. And I pull up like my most favorite print ever. Oh, this one's actually pretty good. This one definitely has more purple in it, obviously, because I use purple paint and the violet ink. But that's really cool too. Yeah. So I have one of Diane Reevely's black journals that I always kind of struggle to work in because I feel like, oh, I just have to collage over it, but I think I may have found a way. I may just be gel printing with some pearlized inks, and that may be my solution. So I'm going to keep playing. So I have to say, at this point, I would recommend these pearlized inks. They do have other colors. I think there's either 6 or 8 colors total, or there may be more since the last time I looked. But I think I would definitely recommend these. I kind of just bought them as a fun, let's play with these, but just from the results I've gotten here today, I'm pretty happy with them. So if you play with them, let me know. Let me know if you came up with other ways of using them, and I'll keep sharing ways that I use them in the future. So I hope you have a great day and happy arting. See you next time in the studio.